I'm doing a giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLuxGiven, and today we are going to be taking a look at one last Wonder Waddle game. I believe at the time of this recording that Wonder Waddle is going to be receiving a nerf in the patch today to only grab treasures from tier 2 animals. No longer is Wonder Waddle going to be able to have easy access to Crystal Ball and torment all of your Storybook Brawl lobbies, but I wanted to play one final game, Crystal Ballin' on everybody's favorite penguin riding on a polar bear. And we're going to go for a shrink spell on turn 2. Locked chest, I suppose, is still a way to find yourself with a tier 3 treasure on Wonder Waddle relatively easily, as well as runestones. So there's definitely ways to do it, though I think that Wonder Waddle is now more going to play into the puzzle rune side of things, and puzzle rune has certainly made Wonder Waddle extremely powerful, but I'm just going to wind up skipping on that tier 2 treasure so that way I can add a Cindy and a Humpty Dumpty to my board. And I've certainly been playing a lot of egg games recently. Storybook Brawl is just feeding me all of these eggs. I don't really want eggs on Wonder Waddle, nor do I even care about Cindy that much, but it's what the shops have given me, so it's what we're going to take. We'll pick up a pair of Humpty Dumpties on this turn just to try to stay strong, and then we will try to start to roll for some more animals in the upcoming turns. Not going to lock onto Mad Mim or Minotaur, because we can still find tier 3 animals on Wonder Waddle, so that's what we're going to go for. We get lucky enough that neither of our eggs get cracked, and then we find ourselves with a bunch of tier 2 animals, and some pretty reasonable ones. I think about going for the roll the die first, but ultimately decide to go for the Wizard's Familiar, and then roll the die to get that +1/+1 on it. And as I was indicating, the best roll for me to grab there was the Spellweaver. However, I didn't think it was worth buying and selling the egg just to increase my chances of hitting the Spellweaver, because, or did I say egg? I meant buy and sell the Golden Chicken, because Golden Chicken is obviously quite good on Wonder Waddle because you can grab that extra econ. Wonder Waddle just does it all. There's so many things that this hero does, so it can definitely use the slight nerf that, like I said, I believe that it is going to receive in the patch today. We'll see how things turn up, but we are still going to wind up making it out of 3.0 without a single crack of an egg. So feeling pretty good about what we got going on so far. Just going to cast a Falling Stars to tick down on Cinderella and tick up both of our mages, but I'd like to find some tier 3 animals. Eventually we do. We find the Trojan Donkey, and we've already prepped it by casting this Falling Stars. So we just have to sell one of our characters here, either the Black Cat or one of our eggs, and I'm going to elect to sell one of our eggs. Hang on to the Black Cat, just because I feel like these eggs are going to get cracked eventually, so might as well sell it off and use it for a little bit of econ. And actually, we're almost about to grab a treasure from Cinderella as well. Typically, don't go super hard on the treasures from Cindy, but that's just how it is going to work out on this one. We are going to get our egg cracked by a Baby Root supported Lightning Dragon, and then we are going to have some quick work made of us, and we'll take a little bit more damage, 6 down to 31, but now we get to pick up a tier 3 treasure from Trojan Donkey, and what do you know, it is Crystal Ball to send us off. We'll go for a Genie's Wish after that to activate our Cinderella, and from there I'm going to take Skip's Puzzle Rune. Now, one thing that I should say, both before and after the change, XP is kind of at an interesting place on Wonder Waddle, because the more XP that you grab, the less likely you are to find those cheaper animals and actually be able to make use of your hero power. That said, I still think that Skip's Puzzle Rune, the 2 XP from that, is quite a bounty, and we already have Crystal Ball. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be picking up Hermes Boots, the idea being that if we can complete one more treasure, skip over to level 5, we'll be able to find an Aeon, and Aeon can be the hat to our Crystal Ball. We also have those Hermes Boots, like I said, specifically to help us get those sleighs in with Aeon, and we get a pretty lucky combat here to be able to find ourselves with a win. 11%er. I'm going to wind up picking up another Wizard's Familiar after that, and honestly, a Monster Book ain't too shabby. Monster Book obviously going to work very well with our backline mages, but it also does have some synergy with Trojan Donkey because we will be able to potentially fire off like a Falling Stars off of the Monster Book, triggering onto the Donkey and giving us a free summon. We're up against a Pied Piper here, 40 health Pied Piper, so I'm not super loving my chances to win. But next turn, we'll be able to either complete a treasure off of Wizard's Familiar, hopefully finding either Potion Master's Cookbook or Merlin Slippers, or complete a treasure on Blind Mouse, hopefully finding either Forking Rod or Moonsong Horn. Let me catch my breath for a second, mouth getting a little bit dry. My opponent's Brave Princess barely survives that fireball there thanks to some timing maneuvers there, but we've got some rather big units. It's going to be a really close combat. We will take 5 damage from the Pied Piper. I can live with that. I can live with taking 5 damage. I'll wind up picking up a golden chicken, and I do have to decide if I want to take this prized pig. Ultimately, I am going to decide no, and I just keep rolling and find ourselves with another golden chicken, which gives us a Merlin's Slippers, which gives us a really, really powerful set of treasures to maneuver throughout this lobby here. And from there, I'm going to pick up a lucky coin and a Falling Stars, and I'm just rolling to hopefully find an Aeon. Now, there is some consideration for just picking up another Monster Book, and I think that that ultimately is still pretty strong, but it's just a matter of if I want to use up my gold. And I think the answer here is no, reason being that as soon as you find the Aeon, you then want to start casting all of the spells that you can on it to ensure that it can slay. So I'm just going to hang on for a little bit here, hanging on to my golden chicken gold here in my hand and going to use that just for Aeon. So I think that that is ultimately going to work out quite well for us. We summon a pretty nice unit off of our upgraded Trojan Donkey, so we were going to summon a tier 5 unit. Maybe would have been cool if Trojan Donkey just summoned an Aeon, but not going to be so lucky. We are going to get an Aeon pretty shortly after that though, so not really sure I can complain, and we even get another one to follow things up with. From there, I actually don't hate just picking up a Sporko, reason being we've got 2 Aeons right now. Sporko's going to give them both +5 attack and then a little bit more as we cast a Candy Rain. And now I think that we've got really good odds of either of our Aeons slaying, and overall this is just a really, really powerful board. I will still potentially hunt for something like Forking Rod, but otherwise I really, really love all of my treasures here. At some point we'll replace this Sporko with a Baba Yaga and start to just have really, really cheap spells and keep that first attack with those Hermes boots so that we can continue to have cheap spells throughout the rest of the game. But feeling pretty good on this one. We're going to wind up dealing some damage to a Peter Pants, also trying to do some Hatball things, but we're just doing it better as Wonder Waddle. From here, I'm going to pick up a Baba Yaga, like I said, and I also do have some reason to pick up this Sporko. The reason's twofold. One, and I actually have to figure out what to sell off because Trojan Donkey is a tier 3 character, but Cindy is a mage, so like that's kind of cool too. But ultimately, I do want to pick up the Sporko, and the reason is that when I have 2 Sporkos on the bench, they'll both be getting +2/+2 every time I cast a spell, +1 from each Aeon. Just +1, not +1/+1. So +1 attack from each Aeon. Both of those Sporkos are getting that. If I ever triple this Sporko, that will mean that I get to give even more bonuses down to the upgraded Sporko and actually get to create quite a large unit. I'm thinking kind of the same thing here by locking onto a Baba Yaga, and the fact that we don't have to lock onto any of these spells is also pretty good. I only cast the N for the health. I didn't really feel like we needed the XP, that I cared about the XP, just wanted to grab the health here, as obviously the XP put us to 6 and we're not doing anything with it. We're not rolling additionally on that. But locking onto Baba Yaga, then we'll pick up a lucky coin, and like I said, the idea here is just this will be stronger if I ever eventually triple this Baba Yaga, which is definitely something that I would see in my cards in the future. But now that we are finding ourselves in position, or in possession rather, of this Scion of the Storm, I'm feeling less gung-ho about needing to find more characters for the board. I think that we're actually kind of doing okay here. And now I feel like, well, maybe I will triple the Baba Yaga eventually, but I don't really need the Sporko. However, we do still have 3 characters that we have pairs of: the Aeon, the Baba Yaga, and the Sporko. So eventually we will want to triple up on those characters, and at that point we'll need some more characters to replace them on our board. So having this Sporko is really just me saying that eventually I'll put it onto my board if I can triple my Baba Yaga and my Aeon both at some point in the future and not find another Scion of the Storm. So that's kind of the idea that I got brewing here, but we are doing absolutely fantastic with super cheap spells costing 4 less. I'll also pick up a golden chicken just for a wee bit of econ, but I don't think I really care to replace any of my treasures, really. My treasures are quite fantastic. The fact that I have 2 large Aeons does mean I could replace the Hermes boots, because I will probably be able to Aeon something. But we're doing pretty good here. I'm also deciding not to True Love's Kiss on a Wizard's Familiar, just because I like how big these Wizard's Familiars are, and I'd like them to keep growing, essentially. So not going to worry about that either, but I actually think there's another interesting way to hunt down a tier 6 treasure here, and that's by trying to triple a Croc. I am going to wind up going for a Mix-a-Wizzle on one of my Wizard's Familiars, but I am not going to True Love's Kiss it, so that way it can stay or turn back into a Wizard's Familiar next turn. And I actually get a pretty lucky roll there, finding some health to pump up the tree. Definitely makes that worthwhile, and then a Falling Stars means that this Haunted Creeper is going to additionally pump up everything. But feeling pretty good with a Scion of the Storm coming out of the Croc. I should have no problem dealing with my opponent's Bearded Vulture here and ultimately getting a pretty easy win. We don't get a kill onto the Pied Piper, but still make that really, really close. I am currently looking for one more character to put inside of a Croc. I picked up that Medusa specifically just to croc it. We will get to pick up an Aeon here, so that's pretty nice. And Hand of Midas is pretty good if I can find exactly Scion of the Storm. But ultimately, I am going to skip out on it because I just like my current treasures too much and don't want to mess with them. I like all of my units too much that I don't want to mess with it. I will pick up an Evil Twin, which allows us to find another Aeon. Then I find a Feed the Kraken, and I'm like, all right, these Sporkos have got to go. We've held onto these Sporkos for way too long. I will put a Beauty's Influence on the Aeon, though that doesn't actually do anything, and then I will feed some characters to the Kraken to finish off this turn. Then we eventually turn the Aeon good. We just had to double do it because of the Evil Twin. So a lot going on in this one. I lock on to Feed the Kraken and another Drink Me potion, and we actually have quite a game here with my opponent having quite massive dwarves, but we are going to find the win. Pretty fortunate in that one, being able to take that player down. We don't get to see the Sims because we've got a Captain Croc. We actually find a second Drink Me potion in the shop. Pretty silly. So we'll just continue to cast a whole bunch of spells here. Don't have anything to feed to the Kraken. Actually, wait, yeah, we do. We have that Sporko that we're not using, so we'll pick that up. Not going to worry about picking up additional Spellweavers. Spellweaver is already plenty big enough. And here I pick up a Monster Book on the assumption that this would be a nice character to put inside of a Croc. And we do find ourselves with the Croc. Don't find any treasures that I like there. Was really only looking for Ninth Book of Merlin, potentially Mimic Chest, but really just Ninth Book of Merlin being the main one for us. We do find another Croc spell. I'll use that to just get another Croc started, and now potentially could put like these Wizard's Familiars or something else in a future Croc down the line. But this game's also almost over. We are up against a Peter Pants, and I think we're just going to be a bigger mage than they are. They have found themselves with an Echo Wood, and they do have a backline full of ranged units, but so do we. We've got a backline full of ranged units, plus Cat's Call to protect our backline, and we even have a Croc spell waiting. So we're going to wind up hitting my opponent for, I believe that was 10 damage there. Yeah, it was the 3 backline units plus a Black Cat and then plus 6. So feeling pretty good about our chances to win this one, but we will see if our opponent is able to put anything together. I believe our opponent is Al Kame, a Storybook Brawl YouTube editor. Yeah, looks like we are getting the best of them in this one. And just gonna cast a few more spells, not really gonna add anything to the board from here. We've already done everything that we're gonna do. I guess I am gonna make some small upgrades to the board just to make sure that I don't get outranged and something crazy doesn't happen. I am going to maximize on my ranged attacks by putting Baba Yaga in the first position, and then just casting one more spell here for good measure. But Baba Yaga now will be our first attacker. I don't really care about slaying, because I think that this will probably be the final combat of the game, as long as I can win. And it looks like I will be able to. But my opponent is going to make it close. They will be able to see what's inside our Croc, and it's an upgraded Croc, which is pretty bad news for them, because that means that we get to hit them for lethal damage. If it was an unupgraded unit, my opponent would have survived, but we had just enough stats to take it down. I guess we can rewatch the game, right? This is a pretty quick video. But yeah, getting that crystal ball, obviously super, super lucky on 3.2 off the first Trojan Donkey, and Skip's Puzzle Rune is just such an easy treasure to complete on Wonder Waddle, and that part's not going away. Wonder Waddle will still be able to Skip's Puzzle Rune with the best of them and still be able to put together some really powerful boards. You'll just need a little bit more help finding that crystal ball. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace. This week's giveaway word is dust. Each week I use a new code word. That's just to distinguish who's commenting for which week. And the reason I have you guys say a code word, that way I can tell who is interested in the dust and who's just commenting to say hi or that they enjoyed the video, stuff like that. You can definitely do both. Just make sure you include this week's code word. You can also enter as many times as you want per week, once per video. You can go back, leave comments on old videos, just make sure they include this week's word, but there's no limit to how many times you can enter, other than, I guess, the amount of videos that I have. And I've been putting out a bunch of Storybook Brawl videos since last October, so yeah, there are a bunch of opportunities to enter to win. You can go through the backlog and watch some of those, but it's been really fun to receive the comments from you guys, get that level of interaction. You can also come join me on my Discord, which I'm trying to grow right now, just so that I have, one, feedback on my titles and thumbnails and things like that, but I also have some fun ideas for special game modes that I could make work with lobbies of players in the future. So feel free to check that out as well. There is a link to that in the video description, and help me climb on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely, and thank you guys all very much for your support.